Hey there, good morning. Um, Yesterday I was home all day long and I watched a lot of different things. I watched a couple shows, but I've gotten to where I really like watching interviews with people. And Linda Perry has a new album out and a new documentary, and she's doing a lot of interviews on a lot of different people's podcasts. And so it's very interesting to, if you don't know who Linda Perry is, Linda Perry um, was the singer of Four Non Blondes who sang that song in the 90s, What's Up, it was called, but What's Going On is what they said most of the time in the song. Um, and since that time, she has mostly produced and written songs for other people. And she's very talented. She tends to bring out everyone's emotions and stuff. And so I was watching an interview. I've watched a couple of interviews with her over the last week, but this one really hit me because she was talking about her emotional availability and how everyone nowadays puts such boundaries on who they'll talk to and who they'll do whatever with. And she doesn't do that. She's just totally emotionally available to everyone all the time, and it can be very disturbing to people because she's very upfront. And I had a friend a couple of weeks ago comment on some post I had made about how I am too much of a truth teller and people can't handle it, and so that's why people don't like to bring me to their shala to teach, or they don't like to have me come because people don't really want to uh, do the yoga to change their lives in the way that the yoga is meant to change your life. Yoga is meant to be a transformational process. As you get in touch with the oneness, the God, they call it, that lives within you, and you get to this part of you into touch with your spirit, you start to change and you transform yourself into more of what you really should be. Often, doesn't always happen, but often it happens. And so when I am teaching yoga, I'm teaching it from that place. I'm not teaching it from coming and do the asanas and go home and go to work and do whatever you got to do and have a mundane life. I'm trying to teach it to people to dig in deep, take it to this deep, deep place within themselves so that they can have an experience that maybe they won't have the words to explain to other people. And from that place, you want more of that. You feel that because it's such a calming and peaceful place to be. Once you have that tap into your heart, into a deeper part of yourself. And so, when I was watching her video and or her interview, and she was talking about that, I thought, she's just who I am, and that's what my friend meant a couple of weeks ago. Is that I'm often in Mysore, and in the Gokulam area of Mysore, you're sitting around in cafes a lot. I know a lot of the cafe owners, so I'll hang out there for some time and use the Wi-Fi, eat food, have a chai, and I'll people always talk to me because when you walk in, uh, a lot of people know me. So this mahogany tree is dropping its seeds, so big crashes every once in a while. People know me around there because I'm kind of the white guy who has become an Indian to the whatever level I'm able to. I haven't become an Indian because I'm not born there, but I embrace their culture and I live it fully. And I live often there, very often, most of the time there with my guru. So I'm learning more and more, and I just feel more comfortable in India because of that. So I'm interesting to people, I guess. I don't know. And so people always talk to me because they see me sitting there and I'm wearing a lungi, or a panchi, we call it in Karnataka. Um, and I dress differently, and I always have, the kumkum on my forehead, and I usually wear a lot of big jewelry and stuff. So I kind of stand out. And I have no problem talking to anyone. I don't often start conversations. Sometimes I do, but I don't. But anyone who talks to me, I'll talk to them and have a full conversation. And if it gets to the point where you can feel their energy and their energy is not really what you want around you, you can always just say, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta meet a friend." No big deal. You're not hurting anyone's feelings, and you're just kind of removing yourself from the situation. Um, And like she said, I don't know if I have boundaries around that. I know whose energy I want around me, and I know whose energy I don't want around me. And when I feel your energy and get acquainted with it, I can tell if you're someone I want to be in my life regularly. But even if you're not someone I want to be in my life regularly, I'm not going to walk in the room, see you, and then leave, because your energy is yours, and I can keep it from me. I don't need to be bothered to the level that I need to leave by you, whoever you are. So her saying these levels that she goes into everything, 'cause, she does dig in with these artists that she writes the songs for, and she doesn't just write songs for them, she writes songs with them and makes them do it in an uncomfortable way that they're not really ready for, because people think they have to have some process. And if someone and maybe their process is very long and drawn out. And her thing is the energy's here right now. We've talked for an hour. Now we're going to write a song. I'm going to start playing something, and I want you to just ad-lib some words. Or if you want to play something, and then we'll both kind of put it together. And it's very uncomfortable for a lot of them. And I guess what I had a realization of was I'm very uncomfortable for a lot of people, which kind of makes me a little bit sad, makes me tear up, because I love people a lot. I really enjoy being around people, but I don't like sitting on the surface of the water. No, I hate the ocean because I'm here at the ocean, and I get in, but I only get in very shallowly because I'm scared of sharks, which is silly, but that's the way it is. So my sitting at the surface of the water is completely a metaphor. I don't like to swim on the surface. I like to dive deep down. And I don't want you to have a surface relationship with yourself either, or with me. So if we're sitting at a place and we're talking, I'm going to take it there. And I don't even do it consciously or on purpose. It just happens because that's who I am. I don't have surface level questions. If I know you well and the rain's been bothering everyone, we talk about the weather a little bit, that's fine, it doesn't bother me. But if I don't know you, I'm not going to sit and talk about the weather. I'm going to sit and talk about what's going on in here with you, and in here with me, in here with you, and here with me. I'm not going to let it stay up here. I'm going to take it down into your depths of your being, and that's kind of how I roll. And so I guess it shouldn't make me sad, because I do have really great friends. I do have family who I love, and I do have people in my life who I'm not blood related to, who I consider family, because they do the same thing and they can understand where I'm coming from, and they see that. So I don't need more friends per se. But if you want to become my friend, you're going to have to go into a deeper level. I'm not going to sit with you on the top. It's not the way it works with me. And I guess it made me sad when I was thinking about it and talking to you, because I wish more people were willing to dig in and get to know themselves better. And really, if you're doing all these yoga asanas and it's not leading you somewhere deeper, what are you doing it for? Now, you can do asanas for a surface level thing if you want to, but if you're sitting here and watching my video to this level and you understand what I'm talking about myself, I want the asanas to take me to a deep place inside of myself, so that I can feel something new, so that I can understand emotional intelligence at a different level with myself. And then when I have that level of understanding with myself, it translates to being with you. I want us to go to that place, whoever you are, and if you're in my life. So it was interesting that I've loved her work, Linda Perry. Her any song that she writes with people is so deep and so interesting and so raw. And I say this to people in person. I don't know if I've said it in any of my videos before, but I had a friend of mine who was a yoga teacher in St. Louis, who owned a yoga studio at the time. She didn't look, if you looked at her, she didn't look like a yogi. Like, she had these big perky boobs. She always wore a skirt with a tiny waist and hips, and her high heels, and she had her hair pulled up and a lot of makeup on. And she did art. But she's probably more of a yogi than than many people that I met in St. Louis, which is interesting to say because I knew a lot of people there. I was there for a long time teaching yoga. And one time I was at this point, this kind of a shifting point in my life where I was still doing Ashtanga, but I was really digging into Kundalini Yoga, which Kundalini Yoga clears out the energy blocks that you've got. And the energy blocks are caused by emotional blocks. So emotional non-intelligence, where you bury it and you keep it and it locks up in a place in your body, and then that starts to make the energy have to go around that place. And it kind of digs into those places and makes you. So I was having a lot of release. And we were having a discussion one time, and she said, "Oh yeah, it sounds like you're right where you need to be. You're like a raw open wound." And I said, "Oh my God, that sounds awful to me. I don't want to be a raw open wound." And she said, "Then what are you doing this for? There's no other reason than to do this to be a raw open wound. So your emotions are always there on the surface. And when someone comes to you, you can be honest and truthful and loving and peaceful and all the things you can be right up front. And so you might scare them away, but then that means they're not really ready to go into their depths. And so your goal should always be to achieve the state of a raw open wound and stay there and keep that wound open. Keep pouring salt in the wound so and I hated hearing that. That was in like 2008 or 9, 10, something like that little period of time, because I remember where I was living when we had that conversation. And I was teaching at her place once a week or twice a week. Cut to almost 20 years later, that was 2008, 9, or 10. This is 2026, so it's 18 years later, at least. And I understand what she was talking about. Because if you don't have that connection to yourself where you understand your own emotions, how do you bring yourself to bear when you have a conversation with someone else and you want to take it to a deeper place? You can't do that. And maybe you don't want that. And if you don't want that, then definitely don't hit me up, because I'm not interested. And you won't be interested either, because I'll annoy you, because I'll keep poking your wound. And poking the wound isn't a mean thing. Poking a wound is kind of checking to see if, what's going on with you. Are you still there? Are you still present? Are you trying to escape back into the depths of your mind way back here and ignore whatever it is we're talking about? Anyway, so that's all I had to say. I haven't been very present on here lately, and I'm not so interested in doing much on here because I don't have a lot of inspiration to make a post and write some fancy thing about this god or that god. I'm kind of dealing with my own demons right now, and I'm getting on the better side of that, and I feel good again. And I wanted to say this because it was interesting yesterday, and people ask me sometimes why I haven't posted so much, so this kind of answers all their questions and talks about something I'm willing to talk about. All right, thank you. Bye.